Hello YouTube. This week I've got the keys to a 2017 Acura MDX hybrid. Let's take a look. So this is the 2017 Acura MDX. This is in hybrid trim. So this is your top of the line. They call it a sport hybrid. It's $72,000 Canadian, so it's not inexpensive, that's for sure. It's a 7-seater. It's powered by a 3-liter V6, not the 3.5-liter, because it does have the hybrid assist. It's also a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, not the 9-speed automatics that they have on the other in the other MDXs. So it's a little bit different. It's also got a dynamic suspension chassis modes, which is really nice. I've always found that the MDX was quite hard riding, a little bit too sporty for what it is, a little bit too stiff for most people, although it's a very good selling vehicle. So it's a little bit dirty, but as you can see there's lots of snow and slush and ice and that, so it's going to be dirty. It is all-wheel drive, and it's pretty well fully loaded. Pop the trunk open here. Power trunk, and as I mentioned, 7 seats, so quite a bit of space in the back here, especially if you have these down, and you've got some extra storage underneath here as well. And over on the left here you've got a power outlet. There we go, so we got a 12-volt power outlet there, and you got some tie downs in that. So these seats, they flip down with this handle here, pulls the headrest down and then pulls down. They're quite difficult to get down from the back seat, or get up from the back seat. Actually, they're easier to do it from here. So I'm going to leave this one up so that I can climb in the side over there. No tonneau cover on this one, which is kind of annoying because they kind of like to hide my my cargo. But anyways, it doesn't have that. Automatic closing trunk. Come over to the side here and sweep away some of the snow. So to fold this, to get in the third row, you've got to you push this button here and it folds down and it rolls forward, and you push it forward, and well, as you can see, there's not really that much space. I try to climb in here, but it's kind of like third row in a pinch, because really, like, you can't really fit here. So like, I don't, like, this is not, it makes no sense. Like, you can't really sit here at all. So yeah, I'm not gonna sit here, and it's not easy to get in and out of. So maybe little kids, yeah, they can sit here, but anybody over maybe 8 or 10 aren't really going to fit there. So into the second row, and because of that third row, the second row isn't very big either. So you're actually it's kind of cramped back here, if I'm completely honest. This is actually the first time I've sat back here, and I expected quite a bit more room. There's more room. The last car I drove was a sedan, and it was a Honda. So it was a Honda Accord, and it had a lot more room in the back seat than this does. You have some privacy screens here, back here. Those are nice to have. It's all nicely decked out. Wood trim. You've got USB and HDMI inputs down here. A couple of USB inputs. Actually, the specs said that there was 4 USB inputs in this vehicle, and there's 2 here, and I know there's 3 in the front, so there's 5. Heated seats, automatic climate control for the rear, as well as the front, of course. And you can plug in. Comes with headphones, and you can plug in your own headphones and that. So we've got this massive 16.2-inch display in the back. It's really gorgeous, actually. So you can go through, if you've got a DVD in there. I don't have a DVD in here. Maybe somebody left one in. No DVD in here. But go under setup here. Yeah, so there's a bunch of settings here. Anyways, you can go into source, and you can pick, if let's say you've got it, you bring in your own player, HDMI, or you're plugging your iPad with HDMI, you can do that. It's got a hard disk, AM, FM, Sirius XM, and you can flip through them in a USB, so I guess you can also play from a USB memory stick. So it's pretty damn cool, and it is nice and big. So that's kind of cool. And let's move along to the front. Okay, so up front is really where you've got all the toys that you probably want in a car. You've got heated and cooled seats, and I'm just going to show you here how to get into them because it's kind of annoying. It actually took me a while to find it. You have to hit this button, and then you've got your heated and cooled seats. So you have to wait for the entertainment system to turn on, and then you can pick what you want. If you leave it on auto, it'll kind of, in the cold, it'll turn on the heated seat for you. But yeah, when you want to turn it down, then you've got to kind of hit two buttons too. I really wish, they've got a lot of buttons in here, and I don't know why they got rid of the heated seat button. That's probably one of the most important ones to me anyways. As you can see back here as well, you've got two screens. And Infiniti kind of did this first. They did this with their Q35 or whatever they called it at the time. It was the G37 maybe at the time, and then they changed the names. Anyways, the two screens is very confusing at first. It's not too bad once you get used to it. This screen here is for your radio and your climate control, and then that one's for your navigation. It's just a little weird because these buttons down here control this here. So you got your nav as well as your trip computer and car information on here. So you're using this, and then you're kind of looking here, and you got to remember that it's up there. And then this one is touchscreen. So you can't use this one to control this screen. You have to use these controls to control that screen. So I guess you'll get used to it after a while, but it's getting a little bit complex. One screen is enough. Now you've got two screens. Not quite sure what they're thinking there. It all fits in one screen on a lot of cars. Put the nice wide screens now, and it fits perfectly. The two screens, I think, is a little bit overkill. So you've got this nice dial that I mentioned, and it works well. It's easy to use, and it's nice and handy, and if it's a multi-dial, and it works okay. So what we do have that's weird is the gear shift here, and you'll see here, so we've got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then our dynamic mode. And I have a friend that's an Acura tech, and he said this is horrible because the cup holders are here, you see, and people put their coffees here, and then they spill guck on here, and then, of course, it doesn't work. And there's a lot of electronics in here, and then he said the dash lights up like a Christmas tree because somebody spilled some guck on here. And the reverse is a little bit weird. You kind of push in this button to put it into reverse, and you hit these buttons, put it in neutral and drive and park. If you just shut the car off with the stop button, it'll put it in park automatically. And actually, if you just open the door when it's running, if you're stopped, of course, it'll slam it into park on you. So that's somewhat convenient, I guess, and a little bit unnerving if you're not used to it. But yeah, they're taking up just as much space as the gear shift, but then you don't have a place to reach your hand. And I find it, if you're in traffic and you're trying to do like a 3-point turn, you got to hit reverse and drive and reverse, and it's weird. It's just, you have to look at it. You can't just push it. Here's like a little, not a ashtray thing. There's a power outlet in there, and there's not really any space there. A couple cup holders, as I mentioned. You've got an armrest that does move forward and backwards. And it's got two layers, so you've got this tiny little layer, and then you've got a second layer which goes all the way down, and this is part of it. So this kind of slides, and then that tilts up, and then you've got a nice big entry here, and you've got, as I mentioned, 3 USB ports here. So there's 5 USB ports in this vehicle, and an auxiliary headphone kind of jack thing, and a 110 power outlet. So you don't need to have a car adapter for your device. You can just use your regular plug-in for your house. Nice wood trim good size glove box, kind of velvety trim. This is all kind of leather. Well, this isn't leather. This is kind of plastic. Feels like leather, this part anyways. Tons of stuff in here as well to explain. You've got an info button on the steering wheel, and you can cycle through your fuel economy and range and average speed and navigation and oil life, tire pressure settings. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And if you can go under vehicle settings, and then you've got driver assist and your keyless access, lighting, door setup, power tailgate. And that when I actually got this, the power tailgate never opened, and so there's a setting in there to use the power tailgate, keyless open mode anytime or when unlocked. So anyways, you can set all that in there, and exit that. So you can set lots of settings in there. I don't know why they didn't just put that in the big screen, but anyways. And dynamic mode. So we've got, you can change your dynamic mode: comfort, normal, sport, and sport plus. So that changes the shifting points, the suspension, as well as the throttle input in that, and how much hybrid use is used as well. And as I mentioned when I did the walk around, this vehicle, MDX usually has a lot of, I find the suspension's very stiff, but they've definitely remedied this for the 2017. It's very comfortable now. It's not stiff at all. Even in normal, even in sport, I found it's not that stiff compared to what it used to be. It used to be crazy. Very, very stiff suspension. And I've just been leaving it in normal, and it's fine. I like it. You've got your tach, you've got a speedometer, you've got a fuel gauge, and over on the left you've also got a battery indicator. So that's your hybrid battery there, which can also be shown up on the screen here. If I hit info, power distribution monitor, and here you've got your nav, and then here I've got the battery power as well. Okay, so there's other features on here, tons of features. We've got a heated steering wheel, volume control, and that all controlled on the steering wheel, lane departure, radar cruise. On the left here you've got traction control, you've got lane departure setting there, you've got heated windshield, you've got washers for the headlights, you've got automatic brights, you've got automatic headlights, you've got two settings for the driver's seat, power, trunk release, and gas release on the bottom there. Automatic up and down windows for the front and the rear, and of course your mirror controls and that. And you do have blind spot indication warning, which is right here. So on the one thing I should mention, I guess, is the stereo in this has got 546 watts, I believe it is, 12 speaker stereo, so really gussied up. Tons of stuff in this thing. Of course, at $76,000, you kind of expect a ton of features in it too, right? It does have a sunroof, although it's not a gigantic panoramic sunroof, because it has the DVD entertainment system in there, so it's kind of difficult to do. Whenever they have the panoramic, they usually put the entertainment systems on the back of the headrests. It's got sunglasses holder. It's got I guess it's called Acura Link or whatever. It's a safety system here, and you've got your garage door openers, 1, 2, 3, and lights and that up here as well. Of course, lights on the mirrors, and that's pretty much it for the interior. And there's a ton of stuff. I can't really go over everything. I'll just show you the backup camera here. So you got different modes for the backup camera, and so there's not even quite sure what that is. It's so dirty. Oh, that's the sides of the car. So that's the sides pointing forward, and then that is the overtop view and the back, and then just the back view. And I kind of been leaving it in the over the top 360 view, so it'll show you everything around, which is kind of nice. So let's take it for a drive, and then and kind of go over what it has. All right, so trying to put our foot in it as much as we can on this slippery snow here and get up to speed. It's pretty quick. It's rated at 321 horsepower and 296 pound-feet of torque with that electric engine assist. So it's quite powerful. You won't really be wanting for power in this. It's perfectly fine. And it cruises, so at 80 kilometers an hour, 1300 RPM, super quiet. It is really, really quiet on the highway. This has winter tires on it here. A little bit of tiny bit of high-pitched whine from those tires, but something you gotta kind of live with in the winter. But it's, compared to other vehicles, even compared to my Lexus, this thing is really, really quiet. They've really upped the game there. This display here is showing me my hybrid powertrain right now, and it's showing, so if I let go of the throttle completely, now just the hybrid is driving the rear wheels. The engine's still running because it is cold. If I turn the heat off, maybe it'll turn off. So I'd have to get the engine warmed up. Once the engine's warmed up and you let go of the throttle, you can be going 70, 80 kilometers an hour, and the engine will turn off and you'll cruise. Although I've noticed as soon as you kind of touch the gas to speed up a little bit, if you're maintaining, you're okay. Any kind of hill or anything like that, and the engine will turn back on. It's somewhat seamless. You do feel a little bit whenever it turns on, but it's not bad. You don't really notice it. You kind of just see the tach bumping up and down. Acceleration is super smooth. That dual clutch transmission is very, very smooth to shift. The funny thing with dual clutch transmissions is I always find they're horrible in reverse, and they won't go up hills and that very well in reverse, that is at slow speeds, because they're basically manipulating the clutch. But I didn't notice in this that it was a dual speed. At first I thought it was just an automatic transmission or a CVT maybe, because it works really well in reverse and it works really well shifting. It's super smooth. I'm headed down this road here because it's super bumpy, and I wanted to go over some of these big potholes to get kind of the sound of how it feels over these big potholes. And the funny thing is, I don't even notice them. So I know they're here. There's some really big ones, and you don't even really notice them at all. This is really surprising. I mean, I know it has big wheels on it, and it has the softer suspension, but the ride quality is so much improved over the previous generation. This came out in 2017, this new redesigned one. It's just so much better. It's unbelievable. There you have it, the 2017 Acura MDX Sport Hybrid model. I'd like to mention the headlights here. The LED headlights are gorgeous, not just to look at, but as well as lighting. Super bright white lighting, as well as the fog lights down below. It's not inexpensive at $72,000, but this is fully loaded. You can't really get an MDX much more loaded than this. It does have enough power, 320 horsepower, so it drives really well. It's super quiet. It's a mid-size SUV, so you do lose a little bit in the legroom because it's a 7-seater, so you gain that little extra versatility if you need it to haul some kids around or something to soccer practice, but you do lose the rear legroom because of it. There's a ton of cargo room if you fold down those rear seats. It is super quiet on the highway. Suspension, if you've driven the previous MDXs and you didn't like the hard suspension, this one's definitely improved that. It's a lot better ride on the road, and it's quieter because of it. It is a beautiful car to drive. And again, of course, not inexpensive, so that's, you kind of got a trade-off there, right? Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe to my channel.